Hey class, Eugene here. We're talking about week 3 in portfolio development, and I just want to make sure that everybody is ready and able to download their files so they can start working on their theme. So the first thing you're going to see, and this could differ depending on what semester you're watching this video in. It's fall 2019 right now. If you look in the assignments folder, ignore this thing you're seeing there. If you look in the assignments folder, you got the book files.zip. If this changes, then I'll change the video, but just click this. Week 3 through 5 portfolio theme. And this is actually the book you're going to be using for the entire class. So I'll explain everything as we go. So I'm going to save the file. Obviously, I'm going to have to extract it because it's a zip file. Anytime you have a zip file, you have to extract it at some point. So I'm going to save this into my downloads folder for right now. In fact, I'll save it onto my desktop for just to make things a little less confusing for you. All right, as you're watching the video, and there we go. It's out there. Then I have to go find it. So I'll look for bookfiles.zip. Right-click and extract all. You know, if you're on a Mac, you have to figure out how to extract this, but it shouldn't be a whole lot different. So here's my book files. This guy right there. I'm going to double-click this. It'll open up in another window. There it is. I have dual monitors here, so sometimes stuff I'm clicking on, I'll have to drag it out here for you to see it. All right, so here's the book. And really, you don't want the book. You really just want the book, so you might want to drag this out here and dump this just to make things less confusing. I mean, I'm serious. You're going to keep this for the rest of the class. So you got your cover and your pages. So the first thing you're going to be designing for the theme is you're going to be designing your cover. So how does that work is the question. So let me double click this. Now, first off, there's your cover art. It's a big deal that you're able to tell the difference here. Let me double click this. Tell the difference from what you say. Well, there are pages and there's your cover. Your cover is bigger than the pages. You know, it's just one large graphic. It's actually the cover of your book. So what some students do by mistake is they think they're working on the cover when in reality they are not. They're working on the pages, or vice versa. So the cover is just slightly bigger, and it's labeled cover, and it's in this folder. So just leave everything in here. So here you go. You know, this is the template. Now this is the template if you want to put a photograph on your cover. This is the actual cover. See how this is called cover art? So I'm opening up InDesign. I'm going to explain how these are meant to work together. I might even work Illustrator into this. And I'll explain that in a minute. Sorry to make you wait for this to open, but this is what would have happened in the classroom. So at least this part of the video you could just skip ahead, right? Until you see the screen pop up. Otherwise, you have to sit here and listen to me just talk on and on about nothing and everything. How are you today? Right? Yeah, this is getting awkward. You hear that silence? That's called awkwardness. Okay, this is never going to happen, apparently. This is just going to take an eternity. There we go. There we go. The eternity has ended, right? Thank goodness. I'm not going to build an entire theme here. I might do that in another video in the future, but I'm really just trying to introduce you to how this all works. And nothing's happening. There we go. Okay, so we get in here. This is the front cover. Right, this is the front cover for your portfolio book. You don't have to add any pages or anything. You don't really have to read all this stuff. I just know that this is the bleed line. So your graphic should go all the way to the edge of this if you have a graphic, which is what that Photoshop file's for. And all your text should stay within the margins. And this should be the correct size if you're just doing the standard book. Okay. So in case you're a little bit confused as to what you're looking at here, I always switch over to Essentials Classic. Makes life easier. I feel like this is more confusing. And open up the Layers panel, you'll see that all this stuff here is invisible. It's non-printable. It's just on some layer. It's supposed to give you some guidance. I'll turn it off for a second. So anything that you type on here, like if you were to go like this and type in your book name, whatever that is, this text would be vector. So this would be vector. So you could sit here and you could type your book name. You could put your name on the back if you wanted to. Again, I'm not going to do anything elaborate here. But on the back here, if you wanted to, you could be like, you know, there's Eugene Starr, eStar at starkstate.edu, in case I was trying to, maybe this is something that you would give to employers to contact you in case they had borrowed your portfolio book for potentially hiring you or something. But you know, portfolio name I'll say instead of book name. This is a whole conversation, but we are going to talk about how to name your portfolio. So this stuff would be vector, which you should know what that means by now. So these are going to be vector shapes. You could also create stuff in Illustrator and drag it in here. Now you'd have to expand it so that it was all compound shapes. You should know what that means. We'll talk about it if we have a face-to-face class. But you can drag that stuff in here. I'm not going to create anything right now for that. I might do that in a different video. But if I wanted any sort of raster artwork, anything at all, you know, I could put it in here. So this is the exact same dimensions. I'm going to put a solid color in here. So this is the exact same dimensions as this. And you're going to see something here that's a technical thing you're going to be repeating over and over and over again. So let's just say that you put an image in here. I can turn this off. Let's I guess I'll find an image off the internet or something like that. I'll be quick about this. Yeah, feel free to pause that and read my rants about some of the problems I'm having with my monitor in the classroom. All right, I'm going to type in, let's say, futuristic background. I don't know, just finding something ridiculously generic to just toss in there. Some Tron looking background. I don't really care. I'm not designing anything right now. I'll spare you that. But let's say that I want this in there, you know, so I'll go to copy image. There we have it, and I'll paste that in here. Obviously that's not going to work very well because it's the size of it, but you know, it's just an example. Now I'll scale this up. Let's say the back of the book is black, so I'll just draw a black shape back here. Okay, just like that. There we go. There we have it. Now make sure you have the outlines or the margins turned off. You don't want those accidentally left on. Now, you know, there's stuff I have to say about this. One thing I will do, just so it's said, is if you do use a low resolution graphic or something like that, you really should use one of the blurs on it, specifically probably a surface blur. What that'll do is it'll get rid of any weird, unnecessary pixelation, but it'll still keep things relatively sharp. let's say I didn't want this to be black. Maybe I'll make it a blue. Okay, I'm going to stop myself because that's not really what this is about, which I've already established. So I'm going to save this. It's going to save right there in that same file. But now I'm going to do it the whole print process, which to prepare this for print, you have to do this, flatten the image. Again, please take note, I just saved the Photoshop file. And then I'm going to switch in the mode to CMYK. This will change the color gamut of the file and restrict the colors down to just CMYK colors. You'll see if I press Control Z, you're seeing some of the more vibrant blues disappeared. And that is just how it's going to be. Because that's what happens when you switch over to CMYK. You lose some of the, you'll lose certain colors. That's just part of it. And so once the mode is CMYK, you have to go File and Save As, and save this as a CMYK TIFF. Okay, save it. And it's going to ask you what compression method do you want. I'm going to suggest you choose zip, and then just press OK. It's going to take a minute saving that file out there for you, but you can't, when you go to make your book, you can't submit a PSD file or a JPEG. You have to submit a CMYK TIFF. Otherwise, you're going to have problems. So that process we're going to repeat over and over again, what you just saw. This is taking an eternity. Look, I'm at 50%. This never happens. I don't know what the big deal is. You might be curious to see what the file sizes are for this. Well, it says right now that the TIFF is 567 kilobytes. You see that? That's not too bad. Now it's 6, so the size is going up. But the cover is 36 megabytes, and right now for the PSD, and it's 6. Now it's 9. Look at that. I guess it ended up at 9 megabytes or 9,000 kilobytes for the cover. So here's what you do. You go to File and Place from within the InDesign file. I gotta go find this thing. There it is. Book. There you go. Cover. And insert the TIFF. So the TIFF loads in. I'm going to press Control Z because I had something selected, so it filled that up. But look at that. Just press Control Z. I can go back and just toss this in. Arrange, send it to the back. Yeah, obviously the portfolio name, realistically, if I were actually making something, would be white here. Great. Now, I want to point out the fact that this is a linked image. So if you ever break the link, change the name of this TIFF, or move it, it's going to break the file altogether. I also want to mention something students bring up frequently because they forget it, or maybe they haven't learned it yet. See how pixelated all that looks? If you go to View, there's nothing wrong with your monitor. Just go to Display Performance and set it to High Quality, and you'll see high quality. What's happening is InDesign just keeps the quality low, and that's why you're linking to the file as well. You're linking to the file, and it looks like that so that InDesign works quickly because it's not constantly re-rendering high-resolution graphics. But if you really want to see the high-resolution graphics, just do what I just did, which was maybe your computer can handle it. Maybe you don't care. You just want it to look pretty. Just go to Display Performance and set it to high quality. There's even Fast Display, which flat out turns it off. This is just for somebody who's looking for performance, wants to work really fast. All right, so this is the ugliest portfolio ever, but you get the idea. This is how you would make your cover. And then when you were done, you would go to File and Adobe PDF Presets and just save this as high quality print, or if you were submitting it to me just to review it real quick, you'd choose smallest file size, and you would simply just save it. And that would save it off for me. Give me just a second. Let me find where I'm going to save this at. among all this mess. There we go. So here it is, the cover. And you could rename all this, I suppose, but I wouldn't suggest it. You know, because that's what it is. It's named what it is. It's the 10 by 8 landscape cover. You can get rid of landscape if you want. I used to have a portrait version of this. I decided to get rid of it to avoid confusion. Not many students were using it. So I'm just using this as the typical size. But this is like, if I wanted to check out what you did, your status on your cover, I would just need to see this. I do want to point out some stuff. I don't know if you can see this in the video, but there are some ugliness going on in the back. You see that? Pixelization. If you can't, just trust me. If you have a flat color like this, if it's not an image, what you really should do, and I guess what I should have done for this video, is really just draw a box here. Right? I press Shift X here to swap the stroke and the fill. Then I'll eyedrop this blue, and I'll go to the swatches panel and I'll save that blue out here. That's the exact same blue. You should be using that instead. Because whenever you create a TIFF or you have a raster file, if you have flat colors, it adds other colors into it. So just another reason to use vectors. So if I go resave this file again, I don't know if you can see that pixelization, but trust me, it's there in the blue. If I go to save this again, File, and Adobe PDF presets, smallest file size. Yes. There we go. You'll see that I don't have any of that pixelization showing up. Sorry, that popped up on the other monitor, but I don't know if you could see it. I'm guessing you could, but it actually doesn't look like that anymore. It's weird when you zoom in, you can sort of see through to what was there before, but it won't be there. This is just the, this will be a flat blue. That's a CMYK blue. So color accuracy, we can talk about it at a different time, but that's how the cover works. And that's how all the pages work as well, but the pages are exactly the same. The only difference with the template is that the pages are slightly smaller, just slightly. And of course you have a lot of them. You know, this is the first page. A lot of students get messed up on this part. This is where I suggest you put your quote. Now, just to be crystal clear on this, this is always going to be a half page. This no man's land that you see right here, what that is that's going to be the inside of your cover. And Blurb does not allow you to print on that. So this is your first page, where I'm suggesting you put your quote. It's going to be a single page, not a spread. The next page will be a spread. And everything until the end of the book will be a spread, until the very last page, which will be a big nothing. Like it says here, this is the last printable page on your book and will print on the left side. So this is going to work exactly the same. I'm not even going to demonstrate it because it's exactly the same. You've got a Photoshop file where you can make backgrounds. There it is. You can make, but you might be making 20 different backgrounds for your 20 different pages. And actually, you're not going to have 20 pages. You're going to have more like 10 or 15. But you'll probably be making several. You're going to save them all as TIFFs. You're going to place them in the same way you did the other one. Other than that, it's exactly the same. You're just working with multiple pages, the same template, different dimensions. So don't let that throw you for a loop. All right, so here is an example of a cover that a past student, Savannah Watts, created. So this is the front of her book. And this is the back. So she called hers Savannah's Studio. Pretty unique idea. Okay, the second part, when you open her book, is it shows a quote. There was nothing over here on the left. Everything was black on the right. So it's a quote that had to do with her theme. And then this is her first transition page into layouts. And this is what we're going to be doing after this assignment's over. Weeks 6 through 10, you'll be inserting all your pieces like she has here. Then this is the photography category. She's got a lot of these. Then this is the illustrations category, which we'll talk about these when when the time comes. But as you can see, she's got an icon. She names the category, and that's what you're doing, is you're creating a cover like this, and then you're creating a quote like this. Then you're creating transition pages like this, and they're supposed to all be unique, and you should have at least 3 transition pages. So the cover will be made using the cover template, and the pages will be made using the pages template and the conventions that I just described to you in this video. Well, I hope you found this useful. Contact me if you have any questions.